Hey bros, if you're checking to see if you got a shout out, then watch the video almost all the way to the end, because that's where the shout outs are.
What's up bros? Not too long ago we made a video showcasing the work of a lot of great Nerf modders in the community. So we've decided to make a part 2. If you'd like to submit your mod for a possible part 3, then message us on Facebook or Instagram. One last thing before we get to the video. We've added the links to the modders' socials in the description, so please give them a follow or a sub. Alright, let's get to the video. First up we have Jack fincheye with his Storm Cannon.
So this is Storm Cannon, my Stryfurian. It actually is technically a Stryfurianator, because it has parts from a Stryfe, a Centurion, and a Retaliator. The Retaliator bits were used for shell filling, mostly. But yeah, it's a pretty cool blaster. The paint job, I have a soap mask on, which I think looks really cool. And of course I got sweet vinyl decals that I designed myself, and I cut out myself. And yeah, it runs on 2 Mi-Shell 2.0s, a 42.5 millimeter, actually no, sorry, a 42 millimeter OFP cage, and black worker accuracy high crush wheels, and runs off a 2S LiPo, and is a beast. This thing hits around 150, 154 FPS, and I just think is a really cool blaster. So I'd like to show you it firing. I have a 10 dart magazine loaded up with a bunch of different kinds of darts, so here's Storm Cannon firing. I do plan on having some LEDs to go up in that slot eventually, and I'm using an Arduino to program them to race along. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. Also, have my own custom magazine release here that I designed and I sell. So yeah, you can tactically drop the mags, which is pretty cool.
Next we have El Diablo with his blaster called Barney Killer. This blaster originally was a mega mastadon running on 6D batteries. He did a full rewire and custom paint job, and the gun is now running on a 3S LiPo and shooting at around 165 FPS. Now watch it fire. Next we have Pkwy's Nerf mods with his blaster.
So if some of you don't know what's going on here, this is a rapid strike in the back, this back section right here, with a Zeus folded in the underside, around the top, and on the bottom. And shoved in between the Zeus, top and bottom, there's a longshot front gun. So this build turned out pretty clean body-wise, except for the body work, which does look good. The features of this blaster are obviously your red trigger and the trigger from the Zeus retained with upgraded switches behind them. I have some sick folding iron sights. The front one is from the Rapid Strike and the rear one is from the rail on the Zeus. Some other features include a working bolt. HK slap, baby. So this does actually serve a practical purpose. On this side where my off body is, the spring is there. It's just a big long extension spring. On this side, I have just enough room for 2 fingers to clear a jam. So it actually does work out pretty good. And then when you're done clearing your jam, you just slap that forward and it makes a satisfying click. And even on your reloads, you can do that. Next we have the mag release. This is actually the white paddle inside the Rapid Strike with some putty over top. And it actually perfectly matches the fold on the bottom of the blaster there. Let me zoom in a little bit. Perfectly matches that, and it moves just enough to move your mag out of the way. The back opens up with magnets and these new screws in here. This thing, I can shake it pretty dang good and it doesn't move. And then in here, this exposes your leads for your LiPo. Now this is running a worker 42.5 millimeter cage that are Gen 3s in gray. It is running their high crush black wheels with Fang revamps and a Honey Badger pusher, all rewired with 16 AWG wire with 2 Omron switches in the front. So, as normal, you rev the bottom and fire. Yeah, here's what we're going for.
Next we have Lightning Eagle 14 with his lantern shield.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm Lightning Eagle 14. I have a smaller YouTube channel, and this is one of my best mods. This is my lantern shield. It's made from 2 Dart Zone Blitz fires, epoxied together at the handles, and then attached to this 2-foot diameter polycarbonate shield with some custom-made metal brackets. You can see those there, and bolts. And then the edge has been padded with craft foam to make it more safe. And then it also has this Zombie Strike Z-blade attached so that it can be used as a melee weapon. And the way it works, you can prime both blasters, then you can fire with your index finger and pinky finger, like so. And it works fairly well. I wanted a weapon that I could both see through and block darts, and also use as a melee weapon, and also shoot back at people with. And I wanted it all to be able to be done with one hand, more or less, and I think I accomplished that pretty well. This took quite a while to build, but it wasn't a terribly difficult build. It just took a lot of effort, but it was fairly simple. Just drill holes in each of the blitz fires, bend the brackets with a vise and a hammer, and then run the bolts through the shield, and also attach the bolts and drill all the holes for the zip ties and all of that. And then it's also held onto my arm here with this strap from an old belt that just goes through 2 slots in the shield on either side. Yes, this shield has been with me to End War and also several other club events at various places. It served me well. It's a little difficult to aim, but it works fairly well. So that's all from me and for this mod. Thanks for watching.
Now we have another blaster from Jack fincheye called Kilgore.
So this is Kilgore. Kilgore is a beast. It's a pretty cool blaster. I'm not done with it just yet, but it is usable right now. So basically, it is a longshot with a 13.5 kilogram worker spring, I believe, with a 12-inch sealed brass breech and a worker pump kit. And it also, you can barely tell, has a chrono barrel body integrated. That's the part I'm still trying to figure out. Is just the wiring and all that, and how to hide the wires in the body. But it does work. I just have to, finish up the wiring. It also, if you can see inside of the barrel here, has a Chicken Bro 67 scar hidden inside, which is a very nice low-profile scar barrel that has some very nice air vents. And also, if I turn off the lights and flash, has some pretty cool LEDs.
Next we have Zack with his modded blasters.
Hello, my name's Zack. Showing off my little collection here. This is my modded blasters so far that I've worked on. This is a Titan, or Tyrant, sorry, not a Titan, a Tyrant. I dropped a 10 kilogram Sentinel spring in there, of all things. Gave it a fancy paint job. I use it for post-apocalyptic work. This is our megas in our game are like heavy hit plasma and stuff like that. As you notice, I still kept the orange tip, but I painted the this to give it a rusty look, and I hit these up with like plasma conduits here. Well, the charm about that is they're really easy to paint because the panel comes right off and you can just paint it separately. This is the Tobias Spoon Blaster. I dropped a 4.5 kilogram spring into it, so it hits a little harder, about 68 to 72 FPS. Depends on the air. If it's brand new, it hits high. If it's worn out, it hits a little lower for some reason. But that's okay. It's I haven't done any paint to that one, but I kept everything, normal in it. I like it. This, of course, is our Doomlands, I think, Desolator. This was a Facebook find. It was part of my A lot I picked up for like 20 bucks. The poor thing was spray painted purple, and so I decided to turn it into a cool looking retro army fitting looking thing. All it is just a simple paint job, and you know, clip again to make it look more everything. I'm gonna rust that up now that I've looked at it, and when it's done I'm gonna hit it with some more darkening tones. And of course, everyone's favorite eat cannon, the good old nailbiter. I decided to give it a rusty looking paint job up in there to make it look like an old recycled thing. Yes, I use a little Sharpie to do hedge highlighting, but I kind of like it. As you see, I got both sides done. I went in and filled these out. Did this, hit it up with like dead marks, gave this a rusted look. Everything's pretty much stock except for upgraded to 6.5 kilograms. Anyway, thanks guys.
Next we have Jordan and his hammershot mod.
Hey Internet, I am Jordan Friedal, and I'm going to show off and explain how I created a Nerf project of mine, namely turning the hammershot into an approximation of the Blade Runner pistol. If you haven't seen Blade Runner, it's fine, but it is awesome. That's all you need to know about it. Adam Savage's Tested is really how I first fell in love with this blaster. And I, in fact, made a replica of it, a 3D printed one, painted all nice. It looks just like this. But I needed something that was functional. And so I took the hammershot and went from that to this. Now, I've seen a couple of people do the cut of the front end of the hammershot before, but I found the Instructables page that explained how. If I take this nail, mostly what the pin does is it sits out here like this, and the front part just kind of holds the end there, just spins freely, and it has a friction fit in the mechanism that rotates the revolver. So what I learned is if you cut this end by this amount, then you could put it all the way back in, friction fit it in there, and it would still work. In fact, you can see the front end of the pin there. Now this means that this wobbles just a little bit more, but it still fires. But it's not meant to be a performance shooter, it's meant to be a functional prop. So after doing that, I took some epoxy putty and filled in this area here. And I had to do that with a piece of paper in between it because I wanted to be able to take this apart later if I wanted. So I had to put in a piece of epoxy on one side of the paper and one piece of epoxy on the other, and then I sanded it down so that it was smooth. But it's still in two pieces. Painted the whole thing aluminum, then masked off and painted this gunmetal. Used some rub and buff for this weathering, and then some acrylic wash, black and brown, for the grime that's all around the rest of it. Then I used orange to kind of emulate the amber grips on the original blaster, but I'm a little lazy, so instead of going to all the work of completely changing the fake cloth and all that's on the hammershot, I just colored it orange and then wrapped it with that grip tape from NF Strike. I wanted this to still be something that I could take to cons, and so I left 3 little bits orange to signify that it's still a toy. But I don't know, I think it turned out really well. It's not the same, obviously, but it almost looks like it could have been a different model from the same gun maker, like the beefier version for more heavy-duty jobs. And I'm going to show you how it fires in just a second. Loaded the darts in the front. Fine. It gets slightly below stock hammershot performance because the revolver doesn't want to seal as well without that support, but I didn't need this to be a performance blaster. I just needed it to be able to fire something while still looking awesome.
Alright guys, it's shout out time.
The first shout out goes to David Ibsen 2005. The next shout out goes to King Samoy. The next shout out goes to Suleiman Kanu. The next shout out goes to Eliout Belston. The next shout out goes to Eknai Campo. The next shout out goes to Akif Cyber 151. The next shout out goes to Job Daniel 2.0. The next shout out goes to RKO Assassin 316. The next shout out goes to Orange Donkey. The next shout out goes to Kai Scott. The next shout out goes to Elite Shepherd. The next shout out goes to Tack Rideau. The next shout out goes to Lil 7. The next shout out goes to Jordan Lopez. The next shout out goes to Eli. The next shout out goes to PatsFan12873. The next shout out goes to Irwin. The next shout out goes to Paul Guest. The next shout out goes to Fun CL. The next shout out goes to Lucas Webb. The next shout out goes to Karen Lee. The next shout out goes to 3D. The next shout out goes to Ryan. The next shout out goes to Quinlan Garcia. The next shout out goes to Tate Kirschbaum. The next shout out goes to Richard Albanco. The next shout out goes to Mr. Kiddo Howell. The next shout out goes to Ropin. Bros, if you want a shout out, then go to the community tab on our channel and go to the most recent post and type I want a shout out.
If you like this video, be sure to share it with your friends and hit the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. Be happy, peace out.